Darling, do you know what really amuses me? Seeing people driving those absurdly noisy sports cars in Beverly Hills, desperately hoping that someone, anyone, notices them. Oh my love, that is not wealth. It is insecurity with a price tag. I am Duchess Dollars, and today I will reveal why the truly rich do not need to announce themselves when they enter a room. Just yesterday, I was with my husband, Mr. Millionaire, at a 5-star restaurant. At a nearby table, a man in his 30s was talking so loudly on the phone about his investments that the entire restaurant was forced to hear how he had just closed a 7-digit deal. Darling, if you need to announce your worth to strangers in a restaurant, probably the only digit that matters in your bank account is 0. The truly rich? They were at the corner table, dressed in clothes that seemed basic, but cost the price of a popular car, talking at an appropriate volume about gardening. Yes, gardening. Billionaires discussing their roses. There are 2 types of rich people in this world: those who need everyone to know they are rich and those who are really rich. The first group? They are usually one late payment away from having their financed Lamborghini repossessed. Meanwhile, my friend Warren, yes, that Warren, still lives in the same house he bought in the 50s and drives a car that would make you think he is your middle-class uncle. That is the first sign for you to identify true wealth, my dear. The ostentatious ones are so busy looking rich that they end up becoming poor in the process. They buy cars worth $200,000, mansions they can barely afford, and they still make a point of posting every detail on social media. Look at my breakfast in Mykonos. See my new watch. Admire my private jet. If you need to tell the world you are rich, you are probably not that rich, darling. The other day, I was at my personal trainer. Yes, I pay an absurd amount for someone to torture me every morning. Life is not fair. When a woman entered wearing gym clothes that together cost more than my assistant's car. Logos everywhere. Lululemon, Gucci, Balenciaga, all screaming for attention. At the same time, in the corner of the gym, a lady in her 60s, wearing basic leggings and a brandless t-shirt, was quietly lifting weights. Guess which one owned 30% of the gym's shares? Hint, it was not the one who looked like a walking billboard for brands. The truly rich maintain discretion, sweetie. They are what we call invisible wealth, invisible millionaires hidden in plain sight. And believe me, they are everywhere. That discreet woman at Whole Foods with no makeup and simple loafers? She probably owns half the shopping mall. That man with the basic shirt at the coffee shop? He could buy the entire chain without blinking. But do not be mistaken, they still have their small luxuries. Like that Patek Philippe peeking out from under the sleeve of a simple shirt. It is not screaming for attention, but it is there, marking time and telling a story. I do not need to impress you, but I appreciate quality. Let me tell you about my neighbor. Let us call him Silent Steve. This man has more than $20 million in assets but drives a 5-year-old Toyota. I almost fainted when I found out. When I asked why he does not upgrade to something more appropriate for his tax bracket, he looked at me as if I had suggested he start wearing underwear over his pants. Why would I need that? He said. The audacity of being reasonable? I confess that I was not always so enlightened. When Mr. Millionaire started making serious money, I wanted everyone to know we had arrived. I was dripping logos, darling. If there was not a recognizable symbol visible from across the street, I was not interested. But then something interesting happened at a dinner. A simple-looking couple with basic clothes was treated like royalty by the staff. All the important people seemed to know them. When I asked my husband who they were, he whispered that they were worth billions. Billions. And there they were, wearing clothes you could find in any department store without flashy jewelry, talking about their vegetable garden as if it were the most fascinating thing in the world. That was when I realized, when you are truly rich, you do not need to convince anyone. You simply are. The richest people I know are often the most discreet. Why? Because they have nothing to prove. Think about it. If you are insecure about your wealth, you will do anything to show it. It is like those boys who drive noisy motorcycles to compensate for other deficiencies. But real wealth? It is quiet. It is confident. It knows its own value without needing constant validation. Now, do not misinterpret me. I still love my designer bags. Chanel says hello, by the way. But I know the difference between quality and ostentation. The true elite? They buy the bag without a visible logo. They wear the shirt with the perfect cut, not the one with the designer's name printed on the chest. Let me share a little tip from the world of the truly rich. They are not spending their money on depreciating assets like cars that lose value the minute you leave the dealership. They are buying appreciation, real estate, investments, businesses, art, things that make them richer while they sleep. Do you know what the really rich spend their money on? Freedom, time, peace of mind. Not to impress the saleswoman at Neiman Marcus. And here is another secret. The rich are not trying to look rich. They are trying to stay rich. That is why they clip coupons, shop sales, and think twice before overspending. My friend with the private jet, she refuses to pay for overpriced airport food and brings her own snacks. The woman worth 9 digits complains about the increasing cost of streaming services. It would be sad if it were not so smart. Look at Mark Zuckerberg with his gray t-shirts, or Warren Buffett still living in that modest house in Omaha. These men could buy small countries, but they live as if they were on a limited budget. This is not an accident. It is a strategy. When your bank account whispers, your clothes need to scream. When your bank account screams, your clothes can whisper. If you want to identify true wealth, look for quality, not ostentation. The perfect fit of a custom-made suit with no visible brand. The flawless skin that comes from expensive treatments, not excessive makeup. The silent confidence of someone who does not need to impress you. I will give you a practical example, darling. Look at the shoes. The newly rich buy shoes with that red sole that everyone immediately recognizes. The truly rich? They wear shoes from brands you have never heard of, handmade by artisans in small Italian or English workshops, that cost 3 times more than those with red soles, but that only another rich person would recognize. A logo-filled handbag is for someone who wants to be noticed. A soft leather handbag, with no apparent brand, with impeccable finishing, is for someone who is already comfortable with who they are. Another secret. Observe how rich people treat their expensive objects. The truly rich have $1 million e-appartier, jewel and wear it as if it were anything. My husband has a watch that costs the price of an apartment and wears it to fix the tractor on our farm. Why? Because for him, it is just a watch. The newly rich buys the same watch and keeps it in a safe, only wearing it on special occasions, taking 300 photos for Instagram and talking about it with anyone who has the misfortune to be nearby. The truly rich understand something profound. True luxury is not in other people seeing what you have. It is in the experience that only you know you are having, like 1,000-thread sheets that only you feel against your skin, or that perfect wine that you drink at home, not for Instagram but for your own pleasure. Speaking of experiences, invisible wealth also manifests in daily choices. While novice madams fight for a table in the VIP area of fashionable restaurants, the truly powerful dine at small family bistros, where they are treated like royalty not because they pay more, but because they have been customers for decades. They do not want to be seen. They just want good food and tranquility. Did you know that most Americans who have a net worth of more than $1 million would never buy a new car? They always buy used, 2 to 3 years old, when the steepest appreciation has already occurred. And those who drive Mercedes or BMW usually keep these cars for 10 years or more. It is not about buying cheap. It is about value and intelligent use of money. Do you know what fascinates me about invisible millionaires? They know the power of compound interest. Instead of displaying status with luxury items, they invest consistently. A recent study showed that 80% of American millionaires never received a significant inheritance. They built their fortunes slowly, investing monthly, living below their means, and allowing time to work its magic. While the TikTok crowd is showing off their $1,000 shoes, real millionaires are buying stocks, real estate, and small businesses. One of them told me, "Why would I buy a Porsche when I can buy Porsche stocks and watch my money grow, instead of seeing my car depreciate?" Look at billionaires like Bill Gates. The man could literally bathe in money, but he wears watches that cost less than $100 and has a haircut that looks like he let his 5-year-old nephew do it. It is not because he cannot afford better things, it is because he does not care. And that, darling, is true freedom. I will tell you something I have observed in elite circles. The newer the wealth, the louder it screams. The newly rich need to show the world they have made it. Rolex? It has to be the biggest and brightest. Handbag? It has to have a large logo. Car? It has to make noise. House? Bigger than a palace. It is as if they need to convince themselves, not just others. But as that wealth matures, or if you were born into a family with old money, the volume decreases. You do not need external symbols to validate who you are. People already know, or better yet, you do not care if they know or not. I went to a party where a man would not stop talking about his $30,000 watch. Meanwhile, the host, a billionaire heir, wore a basic smartwatch because, according to him, it is more useful. One was trying to get into the club. The other already owned the club. The truly rich live by their own rules, not by others' expectations. They do not buy things to impress people they do not like, with money they do not have. They buy what brings value to their lives. Did you know that most American millionaires live in middle-class neighborhoods? That is right. They are not in Beverly Hills mansions. They are in that beautiful but modest house at the end of your street. That nice gentleman who is always tending to his garden, he might have more money in the bank than your entire family combined. And do not think that the truly rich do not save. They are masters at it. They are the first to complain about bank fees, to negotiate discounts, and to question charges. A friend of mine is in the top 1% of income in the United States and still brings her own bag of popcorn to the movies because, according to her, it is exactly the same as the cinemas but costs 1/10 of the price. This is not being cheap, it is being smart. Another fascinating thing, the truly rich do not pay for status, but they pay for quality and experiences. It is not about the designer label, it is about the quality of the stitching. It is not about the most Instagrammable hotel, but about impeccable service and privacy. They prefer to invest in learning, exclusive experiences, and connections. These are the things that money can buy, and that really matter. Silent millionaires have another secret. They are extremely selective about where and with whom they spend their time and energy. They do not waste hours on social networks. They do not worry about what others are doing, wearing, or buying. They know that comparison is the thief of joy and the killer of wealth. When a person is truly rich, they zealously guard their time. Time is the only resource that not even Jeff Bezos can buy more of. I saw this happen at a dinner recently. A multi-billionaire heiress looked at her watch, politely excused herself, and left at 9:30 p.m. Why? Because she wakes up at 5 to meditate and study before managing her empire. Meanwhile, the aspiring rich at the table continued drinking champagne until 3 in the morning, spending money they did not have, to impress people who did not care about them. Invisible wealthy people have another characteristic that fascinates me. They are extremely polite to everyone, regardless of social position. I observed one of the richest men in the world treating the waiter, the driver, and the CEO of a multinational company exactly the same way. Meanwhile, a socialite who had just married into money treated the service staff as if they were inferior beings. That is the difference between financial security and insecurity, my loves. When you know who you are, you do not need to step on others to feel important. Another tip to identify the truly rich: they obsessively take care of their possessions. That gentleman with the 10-year-old car? The interior looks new because he keeps it impeccable. The madam with the vintage coat? It is the same one her grandmother wore, perfect and timeless. While the newly rich change handbags every season, the truly rich have had the same one for decades, and it still looks new. So the next time you see someone dripping logos and desperate for attention, remember, wealth that screams is usually wealth that is screaming because it needs to. The truly rich? They are too busy enjoying their lives and increasing their fortunes to worry if you know they are rich. Let us talk about vocabulary too, because that is a secret code among invisible rich people. The newly rich say summer property. The truly rich say the beach house. The newly rich say my yacht. The truly rich say the boat. The newly rich say at my chauffeur. The truly rich say at my driver con, or simply by name. James will take us. Here it is as if diminishing the value of things was the true demonstration of wealth. When you have so much, why exaggerate? Have you ever wondered why so many hedge fund employees on Wall Street wear the same discreet, almost identical Patek Philippe watches that cost more than a luxury car? It is not a coincidence. It is a secret code. It is like a nod between equals. I know you know, and we do not need to advertise. The art of invisible wealth is also in how you talk about money, or better yet, how you do not talk about it. One of the most vulgar things you can do, darling, is talk about how much things cost. The newly rich says, "This handbag cost $15,000. The old money rich simply says, "Thank you, it was my mother's," even if they bought it yesterday. I will tell you a true story. I met one of the richest men in the world at an event. He was wearing a watch that looked simple, but was actually a rare piece that only a true connoisseur would recognize, costing more than $500,000. When someone commented, he simply said, "It is comfortable." There was no need to explain its value, its rarity, or its status. For those who know, they already know. For those who do not know, it does not matter. The truly rich treat money as a tool, not as a medal of honor. They also understand that discretion is not just an aesthetic choice, it is a security strategy. The show-offs are easier targets, both for scammers and kidnappers, greedy ex-spouses, or distant relatives who suddenly appear asking for loans. I knew a family that lived in an apparently modest house, but in the back, a complete oasis, with a covered pool, cinema, wine cellar for 5,000 bottles, and even a small golf course. No one passing by the front would ever imagine. It is as if they understood that true luxury is private, not public. If you want to join the ranks of the truly rich instead of just looking like part of them, click subscribe and the bell right now. I will share more secrets from the world of real wealth, not just the smoke and mirrors kind. Before I go, let me say, invisible wealth is not about being tight-fisted. It is about being smart with your money and your image. It is about understanding the difference between value and price. And do not be mistaken, darling. Invisible wealth does not mean stinginess. The truly rich are often the most generous, but they do not exchange charity checks at public events to appear in social columns. They create anonymous foundations, secretly pay scholarships, build hospital wings with someone else's name. True philanthropy does not need spotlights. Do you know what is fascinating? How the truly rich buy art. They do not acquire works to match the sofa or impress visitors. They buy what they love, what moves them, what makes them think. My billionaire neighbor has an original Picasso in the bathroom. Why? Because that is where he spends enough time to really appreciate the work. Meanwhile, the newly rich hangs a generic art piece in the entrance hall, where everyone can see and never really looks at it. Another thing the truly rich know: silence is golden, especially when it comes to money. They never, ever talk about how much they earn, how much they spend, or how much they have. That is considered absolutely vulgar. As my grandmother used to say, money is like perfume. It should be sensed, never announced. The truly rich only talk about finances with their accountant and their lawyer, never at dinners. Invisible wealth also means having a healthy relationship with money. The truly rich are not slaves to their possessions. They are not disturbed if something gets scratched or broken. They are just things, they say, and move on. While the person insecure about their wealth has a fit. If someone spills a drop of wine on their expensive carpet, the truly rich offers another glass and says carpets are made to be lived on. Oh, and we cannot forget body language. Invisible rich people move with a calmness that cannot be bought. They never rush, never raise their voice, never try to dominate a conversation. They have the confidence of someone who knows they will be heard, even speaking softly. The newly rich enter spaces as if they needed to conquer them. The truly rich enter as if they already owned the place, because frequently they do. One last tip about invisible wealth: observe how people handle problems. The newly rich shouts at attendants when something goes wrong. The truly rich discreetly solves the problem without fuss and continues with their day. Money buys many things, but class is something you have to cultivate. Oh, and if you liked this conversation, leave a comment with "rich but discreet," so I know you are on your way to real wealth, not just the Instagram version. Check my pinned comment for links to some truly luxurious products that invisible rich people really buy. Hint: they are not what you imagine. And before I forget, my Chanel sends her regards. Yes, my little dog, not the bag. Although the bag is also lovely. Remember, darling, true wealth does not need attention. It already has self-confidence. And that is something that no amount of flashy logos can buy. Subscribe right now to the channel, activate the bell, and let us learn together how to be truly rich, not just look rich for Instagram.